Hi, I'm a journalist. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a journalist who writes about medical matters. And I'm also one of the 1.2 million people in Britain who've got atrial fibrillation. As I say, there's a lot of us. Next time you need to get a blood test done at a hospital and you turn up and the place looks like the scene from Dr. Zhivago where they're at Moscow Station, this huge mass of humanity just hanging around. Do try and remember the reason you're having to wait for 2 hours is because it's us, the AF patients. They're clogging the place up. 1% of the entire NHS budget goes to looking after AF. And there aren't enough treatments. The cardiologists will tell you that they do not have enough tools that work to treat this condition. Essentially, there's a series of drugs they can use. They can try and chemically re-engineer your heart for you. If you look at the website here that I've built, there's a couple of little diagrams that show what AF does, and it's essentially interfering with the electrical signals in the heart, so the atria at the top aren't pulsating properly. It's the old noise to signal problem that they're suffering from. The receptors just can't tell the difference between the noise and the signal, and so they're going off, the muscle receptors, they're going off all over the place. And some doctor years ago said that it looked like a bag of worms. Your atriums at the top of your heart, instead of pulsating properly and gently and in the way they should, they look like a bag full of worms, and it's very uncomfortable and unpleasant and terribly, terribly dangerous for a lot of people. You can get a stroke as a result because the heart doesn't pump the blood properly around the body, so it tends to coagulate in the bottom of the ventricles at the bottom of the heart, and then it can come out as clots and block up vital arteries, and you end up in a huge amount of problems. So the doctors have got a bunch of drugs they can use. As far as I understand it, there's one principal drug they can use to re-regulate your heart for you, and then 4 second-line ones. The one they use at the moment is a drug called amiodarone, and I've been on that, and it's a great little drug. It's about as intrusive as taking an aspirin every day. It's a very good thing to do, and it retrains your heart muscle into behaving in the correct way. The problem with it is that it's got iodine in it, so it can create and cause toxic effects after a while. And so the doctors are rightly really cautious about how they use it, and they put you on a regime of testing your blood regularly just to make sure there isn't any reaction. And the moment they see any sign of a reaction, they'll take you off it. So amiodarone's a great drug. It works superbly well, except it does have this unpleasant side effect potentially, so you have to watch it. Now, if they do have to take you off it, they're beginning to run out of road for things they can do. There's a couple of surgical procedures they use. One's called a cardioversion, where they essentially shock your heart back into its correct rhythm. Problem with that is it tends to come out again because the electrical circuitry is shot at the top of the heart, so it's not something that stays in, which is where the drugs come in. They help to regulate it. The other thing they do is a thing called an ablation, where it's really clever actually. They get into your venous system, and they can actually burn away part of the problem muscle that's causing the stray signals at the top, and that works quite well as well. But like most of the treatments for AF, it's only about 60% successful. So a third of the people who go through these procedures don't end up cured. And they're back. I mean, the thing about AF patients, all 1.2 million of us, is that we're the ultimate revolving door NHS patients. They never get rid of us. We're always back, always back. And it's a terribly debilitating condition for a lot of people. And I'm quite lucky. The form of it I've got, up until now at least, has been something where I needed to take preventionary measures to make sure it didn't get any worse, but it hasn't actually affected my life. But there's an awful lot of people who aren't in that fortunate position. They have got a debilitating disease that is not responding well to the medicines that are available. And the cardiologists say they desperately need something else. Now, along comes a new drug. It's taken 25 years to actually develop a new drug that's going to safely be a secondary tool to stand alongside amiodarone. it's got a strange name, this one. It's called Dronedarone. And anyway, so, sorry, Dronedarone. Yeah, Dronedarone. Yeah, that's it, yeah, Dronedarone. Anyway, that's the new one that's come along. And it's cost £1 billion to develop it. And it's the first drug that actually safely regulates heartbeats without having side effects. I mean, as I said, there's 4 secondary second-line drugs they can use, but they do have toleration issues. This one's supposed not to. And the cardiologists say that it's going to save a lot of money. It'll save money because they won't have to do lots of operations on people any longer, which only have a 60% success rate anyway. So there's a huge need for this new drug. Now NICE have come along and done a really stupid piece of analysis where they've said, oh well, you know, this will be something that people will be kept on for the whole of their lives even if it doesn't work, and in a third of cases we can demonstrate it doesn't work. And that's just total bollocks. That's not the way that the cardiologists say they want to use this drug. They say what they want to do is to use it as one of the tools in the armoury. Now, AF, as I said earlier, is caused by a disruption to the electrical signals in the heart, and essentially the trigger is up by the pulmonary vein. Now, if you remember your GCSE biology, the pulmonary veins are the only ones in the entire blood system of a mammal that actually carry oxygenated blood. So the reason being that the heart system, if you recall from your GCSE biology, is a double circulation system in mammals. So you've got one circulation going heart to lungs and back to heart. And then secondly, it's taking the oxygenated blood out to the limbs and to the vital organs and then back again to the heart. And the pulmonary veins are carrying oxygenated blood to the heart. The pulmonary arteries take unoxygenated blood, deoxygenated blood, down to the lungs. It gets sorted out there and back it comes. So as the blood goes through the pulmonary vein, it's triggering these electrical signals and pushing all of the waves of muscle activity out in a nice controlled way. It does in normal people. With people with AF, it starts to create this this noise where the signals are being distorted. Now, what the new drug does is to actually regulate that process. It does the same sort of thing as amiodarone, but you don't have these horrible side effects. And the cardiologists, I was sitting in the House of Commons last week up in one of the committee rooms upstairs, and there's this huge long queue of incredibly eminent men and women who are consultants, cardiologists. And they're all saying the same thing. They're saying we need to have this new drug as part of the armoury of things that we can do for this large, huge number of people, many of whom are incredibly desperate, who are coming along, who have no chance of actually having any proper cure. And without it, we're at a huge disadvantage. The drug's been already licensed in both Europe and the United States, and it's ridiculous that the committee at NICE can do a piece of rubbish statistical analysis and come up with a result which is completely at variance with every other involved civilized country in the world. And it needs to be changed. They need to reconsider that, and they need to reconsider it now.